I've unboxed and laid out everything that's in a Snow Performance Stage 1 water methanol kit. Everything here was in the kit. That's all bought separately. So the Stage 1 kit is their entry-level kit, obviously. It's either on or off depending on boost pressure, which will be just fine for my setup. You get a relay harness, a relay, methanol on light, a Hob-style boost pressure switch, which I believe is adjustable via that screw at the back there. You get two hypersonic nozzles, a number 6 and a number 4. A in one-way check valve with micron filter. A 90-degree nozzle holder. Low level light. Low level sensor. Float style sensor. Just on that as well, with the tank, there's actually no provision in the tank for that float sensor. I guess it's wherever you need it, depending on your setup. The tank itself is pretty tough, like it's made of pretty thick plastic. I think it'll work well. You get a 300 PSI methanol pump. Again, looks to be pretty well made. Little rubber feet on the mount. And it uses these fittings, which is pretty simple. You also get a reel of nylon hose. So I actually gave this a bit of a shot before because I was curious to see how it actually worked. It's pretty simple. It kind of flares over that fitting there. Then when you do it back up, it locks the flare on. And as you can see, that's bloody tight. So it's not coming off anytime soon. I was a bit concerned, I guess, when I first purchased it on how safe that would be, but I think it'll be right. So, along with that, I've bought this extra stuff. It's a spacer plate. Snow Performance also make it. It can hold four nozzles to run in between my manifold and my throttle body injection system. I've also bought a second number 4. So I'm going to be running 2 nozzles either side on each bank. So number 4 and number 4. Together that should give me a total of 450 milliliters a minute, which should work with my 550 horsepower mark, 10 psi area. But if I need more or less, I can adjust it from there. No big deal. I've also bought the dual nozzle upgrade kit. Just get a T-piece, extra bit of line, another 90-degree holder, and a single fitting. I'm not 100% sure if this tank here is going to work with my engine bay idea, so I had this other tank lying around that I might use instead. Before I install this in the car, what I wouldn't mind doing is just knocking it up on the bench, just on the spacer plate alone, and see what the flow looks like. Hey guys, I did the install over maybe 3 or 4 days. I could have done it in around 6 hours, I reckon, if I was working at my usual pace. But the whole COVID situation really gets the motivation levels down sometimes, and you just got to remind yourself how bad you want it. And no one's going to drive your project harder than you. And whilst I've got my eye on the end result most of the time, because I'm looking forward to hammering the absolute hell out of this car, I really enjoy the process and everything in between to get to that stage. And that's usually where my motivation lies and it gets shit done. So, whatever works for you at the end of the day. All right, so install's done. I guess I'll run through it from top to bottom. So, yeah, okay, up top, got the methanol spacer plate installed. Number 4 nozzles installed either bank. I should also say that I ended up fitting a 1/2-inch plate between the methanol plate and the Firetech system, just to allow a bit more distance between the nozzle's discharge and the butterflies of the Firetech system. Not that it hits anyway, but yeah, it's made sense at the time, so that's what happened. And up back, we've got the T-piece there, as you can see, feeding through the firewall to the check valve. And we're going. Oh, I should also say that I ended up installing or fitting the Hobbs pressure switch at the front here, just because it was a bit closer to the eBoost reference point, because I shared the same information. So I've done a whole video on that. I'll post the link at the end of this video in case you're interested. So coming across to this side, got the other number 4 nozzle installed here. I also had to cut, I think there was a bracket, like a kickdown, automatic kickdown bracket under there, which I'm not using anyway, so I just chopped it off because it was fouling against the nozzle holder. What else we got? So check valve going down through the body cavity there, through the front quarter cavity. And I did that to minimize any lines inside, any fuel lines I should say, inside the engine bay. If it was to leak, at least it would leak, you know, behind the firewall plate there or under the car. And try and avoid any fires or starting as much as possible. Yeah, so I ended up using an old eBay special tank I bought once upon a time. Actually turned out pretty well. Just made some quick alloy brackets from stuff I had lying around. Yeah, it's also away from any heat sources too, which is handy. So under the car, got the fuel, the methanol, water methanol line and the pump power line routed just around the engine rail around there. Also, I fitted the nylon feed line through some old transcool line I had just to protect it from any stones or anything hitting it. Yeah. So that's the pump there, mounted upside down. Just the rubber feed against the body like that. Doesn't really vibrate or carry on very much. It seems to be alright. It's also pretty far away from that front wheel, so I'm not really stressed about it. We'll just go under the car here actually. So that's what it looks like underneath. That tank pretty much feeds directly into the pump. I think in the manual it says somewhere that the pump needs to be below the tank and the tank needs to be below the discharge point. So in my case, the spacer plate, and yeah, worked out pretty well. So that's pretty much it, guys, for the install. I guess from here, the next step for me is dyno time, which is booked in next Thursday. So hopefully I'm posting a video with some healthy figures this time next week. It's planned anyway. Oh, one last thing quickly. In here too, I've got one coming. I've got a dual air temperature gauge coming, so I can monitor the charge temperature after the methanol system's applied, and then I'm also going to mount the other one up under here in the intake system, so I can see pre and post methanol. All right, guys, I'll post again next week. Cheers.